So this woman sold over 5,000 babies and she was never arrested. Now imagine being born, taken away from your parents and just get sold like a property. What if I told you that there was a woman who sold over 5,000 children and she never served prison time? Stay with me guys, because honestly, you won't believe how far she went, how powerful she was, and how many lives she destroyed. And this woman is called Georgia Tann. But first, let me take you back to the early 90s in America. Georgia Tann was born on July 18th, 1891 in Philadelphia. Her parents, they were relatively rich. Her mother was a school teacher while her father was a local judge. So from her early age, she was exposed to abandoned children that were brought to her family's door, which were taken care of by her family's connection. Tann had ambitions. She wanted to be an attorney and she passed bar in Mississippi. But society pushed her towards social work and she later ended up studying a social work course at Columbia University. She started at the Mississippi Children's Home Society, acting as director that is responsible for child placements, and that was when she first met a young woman called Ann Atwood, who had a child out of wedlock, and Tann later adopted that child called June, and Atwood and Tann later became a lifelong associate. In 1924, she was fired for poor child placing method in Mississippi. That was when Tann, Atwood and June moved to Memphis, Tennessee, and this is where this dark story truly begins. After they got settled in Memphis, Tann became the executive secretary of the Shelby County branch of the Tennessee Children's Home Society. So she immediately started pushing the boundaries. She realized that in-state adoption were very cheap, just only about $7, but interstate adoptions were gold mines. Wealthy families from New York, from Los Angeles, were willing to pay thousands of dollars. So then, Tann created a system of hidden fees where she charged for background checks she never did, travel costs she never did, and even increased paperwork fees, and then funneled about 18 to 90% of the adoption profit into her own bank account under fake corporate names. By 1940s and 1950s, adoptions through her agency exploded. From 1944 and 1950 alone, around 1,200 children were adopted, and mostly were outside Tennessee. Some very famous people then even adopted through a network. So far, it sounded like part adoption agency and part shady business, right? But this is where it gets darker. Now you might wonder, how did she get all of these children? But her methods, they were shocking, they were manipulative and even violent. Poor families to release their children. She even got babies from prison and mental wards. She even bribed and colluded with nurses and doctors and hospitals to snatch babies and tell their parents that the baby was stillborn. Some reports even suggested that police that are influenced by her political connections even aided in kidnapping children. But inside the facilities, children were neglected, they were abused, they were sedated, and over 500 children died. Some of the bodies were buried at the Elmwood Cemetery in Memphis, but countless others vanished without a trace. And believe it or not, this operation lasted for decades. Tann ran this operation from the mid-1920s to about 1950s, over nearly 30 years, and she is estimated to have trafficked over 5,000 children. She had deep political connections which made her unstoppable, and complaints that were made to police went nowhere. In 1941, the Tennessee Children's Home Society was removed from the Child Welfare League of America due to Tann's lack of basic checks. But that did not slow her down a bit. But then something happened. On the 11th of September 1950, when the Tennessee's governor, Gordon Brown, who was a political opponent to her protectors, launched an investigation, that was when legal and media scrutiny erupted. But this is why she never got arrested. Georgia Tann died of cancer just days before formal charges were filed. Her agency was shut down after. The state sued her estate for $500,000, which they later settled out of court.